Welcome to Best in Faction.
The podcast about competitive Warhammer 40k.
I'm Colin.
I'm Mitch.
Neptruck.
Oh, I like that. I like that we're all here. I had the thought earlier today that I was like, what if we just all used like 8 wrestler names, and I could be like Roddy Piper? And then I realized that not all of our audience is old enough to have any idea what we'd be talking about, and so maybe it wasn't the best idea I've ever come up with.
Not all of our audience isn't old enough to know who 90s wrestler names would be. So yeah, like it would like 80s, like maybe Andre the Giant. I think
I have on a number of occasions defeated someone at a 40k tournament using models that are older than they are alive.
Exactly.
That is I believe that is actually the ultimate flex. I have succeeded at living so much longer than you at this point. All right, let's quickly go through how we're all doing. Chuck, how are you doing? What's new with you?
Life is busy, but starting to flatten out a little bit for me. So I've actually been turning my head back towards the hobby. Been painting a lot and getting ready for some. We're playing some 40k this weekend. Going to Now Tipping.
We'll talk about that.
Really excited for doing some tournament action. But in addition to that, I'm just playing a ton of video games. I'm playing Horizon Forbidden West, and then now Tiny Tina's Adventures, and it's been really nice for cooling down at the end of the day.
Yeah. How about you, Mitch?
Oh, I have just been very busy with work as usual, getting ready for some big life changes and just trying to keep up with everything. That hobby wise, I mean, like as far as 40k goes, mainly just trying to theory craft what I'm going to take to the Games Workshop event in Tacoma. And then because I will have to hurriedly get that ready to go, but I'm waiting for the next balance update that's supposed to be getting rushed out any day now. So before I decide what I want to do
next week, yeah.
I think. Well, we'll see. Any day.
The article was seemed very aggressive. Like we were going to do something.
Yeah.
All right.
I have a problem, and it's that I don't read Warhammer Community anymore because of their articles. But they're also the only place I can find out what's going on from directly from the source, so to speak. I got to find. Maybe I'll have a podcast that just exists to tell me what they say, so I don't have to read it. Maybe that'll just be like. A podcast will come out at 2:07 on a Tuesday. Here's what Warhammer Community had to say today. No, probably not. So I am doing a lot. We'll talk about the tournament in just a second. The lots of network stuff is happening that's exciting. I do want you guys to be aware that we talked on the last episode about Battle for the Generations. That is a thing we've now done. The BiffPod TNG guys, the three of us, Hank and Zach, everybody brings a really good list. We did single elimination tournament. We have a winner. You don't get to know who it is yet. And then we took those games and made them into 30 to 60 minute long battle reports with commentary over them from the actual players. They're informative. We've recently upped the resolution, so they're very easy to see. We changed the way that scores are being put in, so that's a lot easier to track. We've made a huge amount of improvements on how we're doing this. And we've launched it. And the first four round one games, the only 4 round 1 games. I'm stuck now.
Those are both true.
There are 4 games, all of them in round 1, all of them on the internet, on the YouTube at youtube.com/c/bestintabletop. All of them on YouTube for people to go see right now.
So all of the round 1 games are ready?
Yes, that's right. And then Thursday and Friday, round 2 will go up. If you want to watch round 2, now I suggest watching round 1 first and then making this decision. Okay? If you want to watch round 2, then you can click join on YouTube and you'll go into our YouTube members only area, which will get you all of the battle reports we do, which it's going to be about 50-50. We're going to do about 50 for everybody, 50 behind the wall. I shouldn't call it that. I'm having a hard time not calling it that. I apologize. And then the other thing is you're going to get the kind of after hours, after party Fight Club content they make each week, as well as Chasing the Narrative Part 2. Now, this week's Chasing the Narrative is Chuck. And Chuck's Part 2 is he tells stories about being a wicked, evil person while doing LARPing and being terrible and awful to people. And
but in a nice way.
And consensually kidnapping people, which sounds way kinkier than it was.
Yeah.
So if you want to hear that, that's also there for you. Part 1 of the Chuck interview is also amazing. It'll be up at some point this week. The biggest thing we have going on next for this group is that Chuck and I are headed to Tau Tipping. I believe this is my 3rd Tau Tipping, maybe my 4th. It's hard to say. Tau Tipping's now been a thing for a while.
I'm not sure what time is anymore, so who knows?
Yeah, well, we started going to it in the before times.
Did we? Okay.
Yeah. The very first Tau Tipping is the tournament where I had Tyranids and I lost to Double Spear Ynnari at a time where I was good at playing Double Spear Ynnari and just played so badly I lost. And I had beaten Zach in the previous round. And then in the 5th round, Zach beat my opponent that beat me. And 3 of us had 1 loss and Zach won the tournament. That was the first Tau Tipping. And it was Zach's first GT win ever. And he went 4-1 to do it. And I just love that story. So I share it again. But Tau Tippings this weekend, it's going to have about 40 to 50 people. It's going to be good size. 5 rounds, player place terrain out in Aberdeen, Washington. If you look up Tau Tipping, TAUTIPPIN, on BCP, you can find it. There's still tickets. If you've never been out there, maybe you're a somewhat long drive. I know some people from middle of Oregon come up. Some people from the Tri-Cities in Washington come. So we get some people from. Well, I mean, what am I? 3 hours away.
But more than that.
Am I really?
Yeah.
Okay. By the way, my wife told me to go on Friday, Chuck.
Yeah.
It's a thing for us to talk about. She's like, you just work hard and don't sleep. You should go a day earlier. And I'm like, interesting. So anyways, it's going to be a really good tournament. They do player place terrain there. The terrain's gorgeous. It's actually the terrain we use for Charity Hammer. Is borrowed from Lion Guard Gaming, who puts on the event. And they're just wonderful. It's a wonderful community. We'll be there. Mitch is going to miss this one, but Mitch is usually there. Come out, see us, say hi. We'd love to see you. We'd love to interact with you. So Tau Tipping, if you're in Washington or Oregon State, find it in the app. It's this weekend. It's going to be amazing. If you come because of this episode, will you tell me that? Because that'll amuse me greatly. All right. Because it's like, by the time they hear this, it'll be like 3 days from now. Someone's like, I'm going to spend the weekend in Aberdeen.
Well, okay. I mean, if they listen to it live, I'm hoping that somebody listened to it Friday night and they're like, you know what? I'm going in.
It's the Rick and Morty meme. You son of a bitch, I'm in.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So that's what we have going on. Chuck. Actually, I shouldn't ask you what you're going to take because it's part of the next conversation. So we won't do that.
It's getting complicated.
It is getting complicated. So here's what we're going to do today. 40K is a complicated thing. And right now, lots of people are cranky. There's a lot of crankiness. We don't want to lean in on that. Our presence on the network is we are supposed to be the veteran calming leadership. I'm not good at that job, but I'm going to do it anyways.
I think anybody's good at that job right now.
No, it's not. So we thought, the 3 of us, all 3 of us are in very, very different places with 40K. Mitch is the most busy Mitch has ever been, as far as I can tell. He's making massive life changes. He's also TOing a bunch. Like, Mitch is simply not the guy that's going to invent the Castellan list and go win like 6 tournaments in a row right now. That's just not who Mitch is. But Mitch still loves 40K. He's still an excellent player. Chuck, the only factions that Chuck wants to play, they're not competitive right now. Chuck's metric of what it means to go to a tournament and do well is simply not the metric he can use right now. For me, I'm at a bad mental health place in my life, and I haven't been to a tournament in 6 months. And the only thing my brain understands is winning, and that is simply not the criteria I want to go with this weekend. So we're in 3 very different places with 40K. So here's what we're going to do. Each of us is going to take a turn talking roughly about that topic. And I was paraphrasing. Obviously, Chuck and Mitch will tell us where they're actually at. They're going to talk. We're each going to share where we're at with 40K. Where, if we want to share where we're at in our life, we'll do that too. But where we're at in 40K, what the season's going to look like for us, what our goals are going to look like. And then the other 2 of us will ask questions and provide feedback. And we'll try to see if we can help each other with kind of where we're all at with 40K. Doesn't that sound fun? Yeah,
I hope so.
Thinking about the future is always stressful for me. So it's always a like planning is not my strong suit. So
well, Mitch, if you would like to use 50% of your words as community quotes, I think that would be an acceptable way to get around this.
community quotes.
Up to 50% or exactly 50%?
Exactly 50%.
That seems way harder.
You should say exactly 50% because we do have listeners that will keep track. I haven't told this story in a while, and someone asked me to, so I will. We get a lot of feedback for the battle reports, and my favorite feedback, because it's actually the feedback we've received the second most behind your audio sucks, because it did for a long time. The most common feedback that we received is, can you please make sure that all of the objective markers are facing the camera correctly?
Mm-hmm.
I love that so much. I love that our community cares about that. I love that there are people out there that saw an off-kilter objective marker on one of our battle reports and said, this is it. This is my battle. And I'm not making fun of them because I love that passion.
Oh, man, but it really tempts me. Now you're never going to know if I'm doing it intentionally or not.
Oh, my God. One of the games from last weekend, I think it was Lucas and Nick doing an exhibition game. It wasn't?
No.
We don't know what it is then.
It was Nick and I.
Okay. They set the objective markers on upside down.
Yep. We thought it went the other way, so we very diligently set them all up completely incorrectly.
But they look great.
Yeah.
Also,
the best upside down objective markers we got going.
You also might be interested to know that was fixed in post-production.
Oh, wow. Weird.
Because we made so many jokes about it that our guy, Chris, who was here doing the work, was like, okay, and he just fixed it. And I would never have asked him to do that, and I'm a little bit sad that I probably am paying him to do that. But it's so great. It's so great. It's like the shelf. The shelf being gone is better than the shelf being here because the story attached to it's so wonderful. All right, Chuck, where are you at with 40K right now? And what's this year going to look like for you?
Well, I've actually thought about this a lot.
I know.
I also have a very warm cat, so she needs to go over here. She just producing way too much heat. All right. So I'm going to give a little bit of history of what I've been doing so far this year.
Okay.
I was playing around with orcs and, just kind of like, I don't necessarily like Goth Rush. And that's really kind of what all orcs have left with them. So I was kind of stuck. And then I got a bunch of custodes from Vince. And I was like, I'm going to build this army and hobby out of it. And then they got a book. And it was crazy good. And I caught myself being like, oh, I don't want to play this. Mm-hmm. And I decided I'm going to play it. Nope, I'm going to do it. They're S tier right now. Take it out there. Do some stuff. Play some games with them. You need to, at least experience it. I thought they were sort of boring. They're really not for me. I'm not very much of a Custo player. Not a very big fan of the Imperium. So there's just a lot of reasons that it wasn't a great army for me to play. So I finished up the hobby on it and stopped and thought, like, well, what am I going to do now? Because not only, if I continued to play the Custodes anyway, Tau came out, started destroying them. Now Eldar are out there. They're not in, they're not even S-tiering it anymore. I played them at basically the perfect time. And I started looking around. I was like, I don't actually want to play with the particular models. At the same time, sort of realizing that, I know Tau are out. I know they're powerful. I've watched a battle report while I painted, but I haven't read the book. I haven't gone and looked at people's lists. I haven't done the research. I haven't kept up at all. I'm just sort of doing my thing over here and not really putting the work in, the extra work that takes to be a competitive player. So I decided, well, if I'm going to be that way, I am going to go ahead and play what I want to play. I want to play some things that I think are cool and really fun. So I decided I'm going to start playing some Chaos. The only functional Chaos list I have is one I was playing for fun with a friend while he was trying to get back to playing. And it's Bellicors with pinks and a lot of summoning. And I just sort of been working on that when I can and improving it over time and figuring out how it works. And I think it's actually, if I had to take a shot at it, unless I had some S-tier army handed to me with some coaching, it's probably the army I can do best with right now. Which is weird.
But you don't want to have the S-tier army handed to you with coaching.
No, I don't.
I don't have
time.
I don't want people to hear that and think that that's actually a route that you're interested in.
Mm-mm. No, I guess if this is what I would say, if there was a time wormhole that allowed me to have some S-tier army and do the hobby on it, and that take none of my actual time to do, then I would be interested.
Yeah, because I have the Harley's army.
Yeah, but
I just take it.
I didn't make it. I didn't paint it.
Yeah, I know.
At least most of it. There might be something of mine in there.
No,
But
I don't
that's
think so.
this.
But
I want to bring my models. I want to bring
Mhm.
my army. I want to
Yeah.
play my thing, and I think a lot of that is me just sort of taking a casual approach for right now. Life is not giving me a bunch of time, and the time I do have, I'm not spending it doing the research. So
Right.
I'm just sort of hanging out. And I think one of the things I've noticed, I've been into 2 tournaments in the last couple of months, and I've really just enjoyed getting to be there and see people, and go 3-2 because I always go 3-2 at a tournament, no matter what I happen to bring with me. Custodes in the S tier or
I'm
Be'lakor
so
demons at
excited for
D
4-1
tier.
Be'lakor this weekend.
Doesn't matter.
So
Yeah,
I'm so ready for 4-1 Be'lakor this weekend.
I'm not. I don't know if I
Okay.
could handle it. So it's just like, I'm going to show up. I'm going to play something I'm very comfortable playing that I really enjoy playing. Like the army itself is really interesting and fun to me. So I just kind of I think I'm putting it in my brain is I'm being really casual about 40K right now,
Yeah.
and that's
Is that okay?
been really great. Yeah, I keep having to convince myself it is. I think it is, but my instincts are all like,
Mhm.
no, you should do this stuff. You should be ready. And I'm like, nah.
Your brain is telling you not even to do the prep. Like you could read the Tau Codex tonight before you go to bed. That's completely within your
Sure.
capabilities, but you're not going to.
Even if I did, I'm so busy and my brain is so like I've had a day. If I read the Tau Codex right now, I doubt it would stick. So it'd just sort of be a waste of my time, right? Like
Mhm.
some pieces might stick, but like I don't have time. Like reading it isn't the whole thing. I got to process it, right? Like I got to
Mhm.
figure out what's what and what the combos and what the pieces are and stuff. And I just don't have time to, or I don't have capacity to do that right now.
So you're doing Tau tipping this weekend,
Mhm.
and then you're doing the GW tournament in May.
Yeah.
Or are you not?
Yeah, I'm doing the GW tournament, pretty sure.
And the Storm, which is 2 weeks after.
And then the Storm.
Okay.
And then Charity Hammer.
And then Charity Hammer. Are you doing the Best in Tabletop Open as well?
Yeah.
All right. So, because that's a thing that still exists. We just haven't gotten the facility to sign the contract with us, so we can't let you guys buy tickets yet. But the week before Charity Hammer, there's a tournament here.
Yeah.
And we're inviting all of our listeners because we want to meet you all right in your face. But yeah, so basically this very casual hobby of yours. You're doing a 2-day tournament this month, 5 days worth of tournaments next month, and 7 days of tournaments the following month.
Yeah,
Okay.
casual.
All right, that sounds casual.
I'm really bringing my level of effort down, but I'm also, painting something every day.
Yeah. And you're eventually going to make the hobby show that everyone's waiting for.
As soon as I can figure out this camera.
How to camera?
It's incredibly frustrating how hard it the painting with the camera in the same space where your head and your eyes are supposed to be. It's very difficult.
Oh.
I have many failed miniatures and attempts and takes that are like, ugh, they come out looking awful because I have to hold it farther away from me. And my eyesight doesn't work. So it's a whole thing.
Okay, fantastic. So now Mitch and I will ask you questions about what we have heard.
Oh no.
Do you want to go first, Mitch? I've got.
Oh no, I'm going to let you go first.
Okay. Mitch looks like he's also had a day, and I've also had a day. This might be the old veterans that are fried.
We've had a day
podcast. Yeah. Yesterday I got super negative feedback from my boss about something I did that I'm usually really good at, and he pointed it out, and I got super mad. And then like 3 hours later, I was like, "Oh, I totally did do a crappy job of that. Damn it! This thing I'm always good at. He's right. I didn't do a good job. Oh." That's the worst
kind, though, because then you're just like, I can't even yell about it being wrong. Now I know it's true.
Yeah, and I messaged him. I'm like, hey, I'm just sorry. I'm gonna do better next time. He's like, I know. Anyways, so I hear what you're saying. I am wondering if it's not what you're saying at all, and the situation you were in will be completely changed if the CSM book is good.
It will change to some degree.
I think that if you had a tool set that was actually competitive, that you would be more interested in making time to do the work, as busy as you are.
Yeah, I think that's true. I know that, how do you put that? Like, so part of the reason I decided to do Chaos as like I'm just sitting around. I could just bring some Speed Freaks and throw them around, right? That would be fine too. I picked Chaos because that means when I'm looking through the hobby, I'm building up my CSM. and I'm hoping for a really powerful book
Mhm.
that I can just sort of slide right into with some really great hobby ready to go, and that will be very exciting. I do think there are stages between they're good enough and I'm in a good enough spot that I'm just like, okay, I've learned to play them and I play them.
Uh-huh.
And then there's like another stage where I'm so excited that I'm like, okay, now I need to go back and do the work and go figure out how Tau and how Eldar work and like learn about them more to understand my meta a little better so that I can bring an even more powerful presence while playing it.
Mhm.
I suspect the way my life is right now, I don't make it to that third tier of effort. Probably until after, till the second half of this year.
Yeah.
Right.
After the 6 tournaments you're doing over the next 3 months.
But they're just practice games. I go to GTs to practice to go to GTs.
I think it's the way to do it. I don't know why anybody goes to RTTs anymore now that there's GTs every 7 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't
even go to like the RTT we did the Battle of the Generations was like, oh, I played a game outside of a tournament right there. And that's been a while.
Yeah. Okay.
So, Chuck, you obviously have this incredible like hobby standard that you bring to every army you field, right? And it's part of your signature, right?
Mhm.
And you're also impressively able to do it in a very quick amount of time. It seems like it's. I mean, I'm not saying that effort doesn't go into that, but you seem to crank out a lot of production very regularly. What?
That is the coldest take ever. Like that is the most. Yes, that is very true.
I'm starting with a compliment.
Okay, no, I appreciate
it. Here it comes then.
Yeah.
It's just it was just.
What do you think is going to be the
ever.
hardest part of communicating like what you do on the show that you're trying to work on right now?
So
see, I had a place I was trying to go.
It was a good question. I was not. Yeah.
There's two pieces of that. I think the easy thing to communicate I'm going to start with is the kind of like, here's a recipe, here's how to do it quick, right? Here's how you here's how you stack your brushstrokes and how you think about the production of a model in order to reduce the amount of time that you spend on every step, and how saving a minute on every step on a 20-step process is 20 minutes. 20 minutes a model could be half the time you spend on it, right? I think that is easy to teach because it's so black and white. It's just like, this is what I'm doing. You may not get it at first, but if you practice it, you'll get there, right? That's the easy part. The hard part, and the part that I'm actually more interested in teaching, is the self-management that gets me those production numbers. One of the topics that we're probably going to start with after I start to get decent at the camera and editing and stuff is the idea that I used to paint blocks of 30 boys at a time. It takes longer to manufacture 30 boys at a time than it does to do 5 boys at a time. And that doesn't make sense. Because if you do one step at a time on all 30 and then back around and back around, back around, theoretically, time-wise, that's going to be the fastest you're going to get done. But if you complete 5 boys at a time, you'll feel good about the work you did. And then you'll paint more and you'll be more interested in doing the painting, which means you'll then produce more. And that, like, how to manage your human while also treating yourself as a machine so that you can get your work done, I think is going to be the hardest part of the hardest thing to communicate in that podcast.
Cool. I'm actually really excited about that aspect of it, Chuck, because the other two people that we're also talking about doing hobby shows, both are going to approach that differently than you. Mm-hmm. And it probably means that we owe the listeners a podcast on that topic with the 3. Once we have 3 hobby shows, let's have the 3 hobby show people get on and talk about about painting productivity, right? Like, how do you, I understand everything you're saying because I have to trick myself to paint.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'll just get this guy done. Great, that guy's done. Man, it looks dumb that one guy's done and his 4 friends are not. Right? Like, yeah. So.
I'll often be like, I'll just do one color. And like wink at myself.
Yeah.
3 hours later, the unit's done. Right? Like
there's some one color that's really fun, right? Like, my stuff often has gold as the main color. All our elves do, and our Marines. And so, like, when it's like, I'm going to paint gold. Well, when gold's done, the thing looks finished. Mm-hmm. Like, enough to play with. So now I'm like, well, it looks good enough to play with. Fine. Now let's make it nice enough to be excited about it, right? Anyhow, okay. Well, I actually think that you've thought through your position, but I still think that you are going to care about how you do. I think you are going to go back to trying to go 4-1, 5-0 by the end of the year. I think that like many people, you're probably at least partially in a situation where it's too many things up against you, right?
Yeah, I got a to-do list of life right here.
Yep.
Once that's more tamed.
But it's not just that. You're also not appropriately motivated, because even if you wanted to play an S tier army, none of them are ones you want to play.
Right. And it also
and that's a big deal coming from the guy that army hops like crazy to win 40K.
Yeah. But
right, like,
I think about I knew when the Harlequins, you showed me the Harlequin numbers, you pointed me to the Void Reaver when it first came out, and I looked at that and I was like, I wouldn't buy one of these. By the time I got that done painted, I knew that thing was dead. Like it had ban written on it from the beginning, right? And I'm not willing to put the effort in to get those together to go to a tournament and then have the army get wrecked.
Right.
So
yeah,
even with the CSM stuff, at least then I'm building up a collection I care about. But I'm not going to hop into an army that I don't care about to fill it in and play it for a tournament or two and then lose it. That's not interesting to me.
No, I also hate that. Okay. Well, so we're going to check in with you in 2 weeks, because you're going to go to this GT and play some Be'lakor.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have any idea on a timeline for CSM, I don't think. No, I mean, I don't mean that oh, jeez. Oh, that was all terrible.
Well, we got what? NIDS are still not out, or are they out this weekend? Or
NIDS are announced. They're out a week from Saturday.
Okay. And then we got Knights coming. So there's several releases between
both Imperial and Chaos. So there's that. I don't know. I imagine that'll be 2 separate releases, because they've got that whole Chaos Knight box.
Yeah. So there's like mini months. I expect to Be'lakor through the Storm.
Okay.
But I'm hoping for a last minute reprieve of hey, here's a CSM book, or maybe even Demons.
I really don't want you to play Be'lakor at Charity Hammer. I guess it depends on how you're seated, right? Well, and who you get to play against in the first round. It could be a really interesting matchup. But I'm so over us making content. S tier's so far away from everybody else right now that it's actually hard to make content.
Yeah. Yep. So you have to be very specific about who you match people with.
Yeah. That's actually something, as amazing as the Battle for the Generations came out, when I do the next one, and I like the idea of doing something like that every month. I don't know if that'll happen, but that's the idea that I like. Not making any promises, but usually the first step in getting what you want is Colin saying, I like the idea of. But I think that the one of the things I would have done differently is I would have had us all bring S tier, or none of us bring S tier, or I would have paired the S tier into each other earlier. I didn't really think about what Harlequins into people would be like, as an example.
Well, we went for random pairings, and I think actually the right answer is more like a team draft sort of scenario.
Yeah.
Where we're we're putting our best into our best and so on.
Well, I had a really good idea the next time the TNG guys come up, where we do 9 battle reports, and each of us plays each of them. So I'll play each of the TNG guys. Chuck will play each of them. Mitch will play each of them.
Round
but
robin.
all of the games are 20-0. And then at the end, we add the whole aggregate together, so that if Lucas wants to play Orcs the whole time, it's not just about I'm not playing S tier. It's but I'm gonna play them much closer than I'm gonna make it close and make the fact that I didn't give up a 20 point to this S tier BS, right? I think that would be a really neat way to do it, because then you'd see, then the game would be Lucas saying, okay, this is bad, right? So a little bit of a spoiler, but it's been up for days now. The Harlequins versus Lucas first round game is pretty bad for the Orcs. But in that game, if instead the narrative was, okay, I drew Colin first, and I knew that this is a bad matchup, so here's what I did with the matchup in order to try to play him as close as I could. I think that's way more interesting at this exact moment than Orcs, which I don't think are even A tier right now. If your only list has to go first, I'm sorry, it's bad. So I just think that would have been a lot more interesting, and we could do stuff like that because we get to do whatever we want. So, all right.
Just a side note, I do
Yeah, go ahead.
think Be'lakor is amazing in team formats like that.
Okay.
Because even when I lose, my opponents don't score well.
Yeah, that's true.
It's real strong denial. Like I bring like custodes and people down. I'm like, how about you score a 70? You can win, but you get a 70. And they're like, what the heck is this?
That's great. So, Mitch, how would you describe where you're at with 40K right now?
Oh,
Because it's complicated.
Yeah. I have way too many other projects going on right now. Sorry, my dog is drinking water in the background.
That's okay. My dog just tried to murder me a moment ago. That's part of our charm.
Yeah, so I'm just really busy with like lots of other things going on in life right now.
I think you can say that you're trying to make a significant career change without going into detail. And I think
there's that and moving and lots of different stuff that's going to be happening eventually. But on top of that, I'm still. It's hard though because like in a conversation that we had all had privately, like I had said, just because hard things are going on right now doesn't mean I don't want to stop engaging in the good things, right? Like the things I enjoy and I get positive feedback out of. So trying to prioritize that in a way that doesn't cost a lot has really had to be a lot of my consideration, which means that I do a lot more judging. Judging doesn't really cost you nearly as much as playing because there's no army to bring, there's no new models to paint, there's not a like airbrush part that you have to get because you forgot.
You don't have to practice with your army.
That too. You just have to read some books and keep up with the rules, which I do anyway. Like that's just who I am. So judging is definitely going to be a big part of it. I'll be judging at Storm of Silence over at Gamers Haven, which I'm really excited to see the new store, the restaurant, get to see.
You know what?
Again.
Let's pitch the hell out of that. Can we just take a moment to pitch the hell out of Storm of Silence? Oh, it's full.
It's full. It's sold out instantly.
It's got a long wait list, but sure.
Yeah.
No.
Bob's store is amazing. If you happen to be in Spokane and you like 40K, you owe yourself a stop.
If you were in Idaho, Washington, or Oregon, please open up Google and type in Gamers Haven. It is in Spokane. Follow them and go to every one of their tournaments.
Yeah.
It is the best.
For any game system, it's going to be a good time.
He is the best human being.
Yeah.
His wife is the best human being. I suspect their kids are the best human beings. Everybody's wonderful. Their store is great. It's super clean. There's a restaurant next door. Like, it's a whole experience.
Yeah.
So, big props to Gamers Haven. They are not an official sponsor, but they would be, but we're going to give them props anyways because they're amazing.
Yeah, and it's also Storm of Silence is a special tournament because that's the first tournament we covered on the podcast.
It's starting to begin with a storm.
Yeah. By
the way, there's the TNG first episode name is an homage to us. Just if nobody caught that. Sorry, go ahead.
But yeah, no, so it's just there'll be a lot of judging, different events, and then obviously Charity Hammer. The one event I am really like playing in is going to be the Games Workshop event, and I have no idea what I'm going to play. I just was throwing around a very interesting sisters list in the voice chat beforehand that I've already worked up, and I don't know where I'm going to find 180 sisters, but it could work.
I was just about to offer to help you, and now I'm backing away slowly.
Yeah.
Not today, back away.
So, but I guess the other way I'm trying to engage with the hobby when I am playing, is for me, it's really about having a great time, and I've kind of come to terms with like my signature thing is not that the army I play has to be broken. I just want it to do things you don't expect, right? Like I want it to be signature and different and weird in some way, shape, or form. Like the Dread Knight Dance Party was just off enough meta where it's like, oh, I didn't like. Why would you put those terrible things like terrible to play against things together? Like they were bad enough apart. So that's really kind of what I'm going for is armies that I can feel like I'm giving my opponent a really fun competitive game that's making them scratch their head with some hard decisions, but at the same time, it's not the broken S tier stuff that's flying around right now because that's just not where my fun is, and I don't want the stress of like the problem when you play the on meta army and the on meta list is one, everyone's prepared for you, so there's no surprise. They're already tired of seeing it. There's a lot of negative things that can come with that, and there's also the pressure of you have to now do the best with that list against a field that is prepared for you and a bunch of other people who are probably playing the same thing. So there's like there are downsides to that experience, and I think that there are plenty of people who are kind of riding the current wave of codexes that will probably be fine. We'll be seeing really suffer some hobby burnout just from the hopping that they've been doing, and that's normal. Like it's gonna happen. So for me, it's much more about just playing flavorful, weird stuff that I enjoy, that people are like, well, wait, those rules interact how? And I'm like, oh, well, no, it's just this, like that's kind of where I want to be, not in a gotcha sort of way, just in a, funky army. Or I might just run all penitent engines. That's the other way I could go. Like just all advance and charge and just have fun that way.
I think personally, I think that the difference between that and 180 Sisters is drastic in fun quotient.
Yep.
One of the things I think about, Mitch, is it's kind of similar to the question we were talking about with how I really want to have hobbied my army, and I want it to be nice. I think your creative outlet in that is you want to build an army that no one's seen before.
Yep.
Mhm.
And you want that moment where your opponent's looking at your list and being like, what the crap is this?
Yes, exactly.
And you need that to be a fun part of your experience.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a very interesting thing to kind of grab onto and be like, no, this is a big part of what makes things happen for you. What makes the game fun and what makes the game interesting for you. I don't think you should stray from that. I do think 180 Sisters is just too much work, no matter how clever it might be.
It's really weird. I'll tell you about it later. I think you'll like it. But
no, I will not. It's 180 Sisters. I will not like it.
So, Mitch, here's something that you may have missed that happened, and it's really cool, and it's an idea we can totally steal. So, TNG's episode last weekend, which is awesome, by the way, is that Tyler decides, I don't want to play new NIDS anymore for this tournament. I don't want to play old NIDS at this tournament because new NIDS are coming. I've been practicing with. By the way, for those people that have played with pre-release rules, don't try to go back and play the 8th edition version and then go back to the 9th edition version when it comes out. That will destroy you.
Yeah, your brain won't make it.
That is simply not a good idea. That's how you turn yourself off and on again. That's a reset.
In one direction.
Yeah.
Yes. So Tyler's realistically being like, yeah, I could play GSC, but that's going to be frustrating because they were not hit with the golden fairy scepter of blessing S tier that every other book in the past 6 months has received. So CSM's like, we can come out quick. Come on, just release us now.
It's been since 6th. Come on. Big numbers.
Anyways. So what Tyler did on the episode is he said, I'm going to take Tau to this tournament, and I'm not sure what I'm taking. And the three of them built a Tau list together on the show, asking questions, talking about things. It could be, and one of the things that we've been thinking about is how do we appeal, like right now as a show, we really aim at the most serious people a lot of the time. How do we get a big bulk of the community to be entertained? And I wonder if it's, let's all help Mitch play a crazy thing and then someone provides the list for him. Like, I wonder if there's a game here, a legitimate game. Maybe we do an Imperium only poll for a week and everybody votes, and then we come up with what the Imperium faction everybody wants Mitch to play is, and then the three of us get on an episode. Maybe we bring Imperium, maybe we bring Lennon on, let's bring some Imperium experts and work together and Mitch will have some crazy idea that we'll need to flesh out.
Oh yeah, I'm already there. I've got that. That part's.
I'm just saying that
it's a hell of a thing.
Inquisition?
It could be fun to put Mitch on a Mitch-based adventure. That this could be a thing that could be fun. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, absolutely. No, I love that.
Yeah.
The other thing I'm really excited about is the tabletop RPG, the live play show we're doing for Best in Tabletop that's set in the Outward Realms universe that Michael Tempe is going to be running.
When is that? I don't know. I don't even know when that is.
So we had one test practice game, it's going to be a one show a month, and he has the entire arc planned out. It'll all be canon in his universe. But we're meeting up later this week for our next one, and I don't know if we're recording this one or if we're still refining the system he's going to be using. But that's going to be coming out fairly soon, and it's the first episode was or not episode, the first trial run where we just were all trying the chemistry of our characters was really amazing and a real blast. And so I'm very excited about it.
Wonderful. So I think there's an opportunity. That was one example that I gave there, but I think there's an opportunity for us to help Mitch enjoy the game the way he wants to help. And I think it's in the community being more involved in Mitch's goals, because I think Mitch will get a kick out of the Imperium fandom. So that's the thing we should think about. That's all I'm saying. There's lots of ways to there's lots of ways to tap into that, but Imperium fans are fans, right? Like Mitch is not unique in being a guy who owns all the Imperium armies. Like he's not the only person like that.
To play the real bad guys,
right? Other than that, Mitch, I think that you're right, man. Like you're like, man, all of the stuff's going on, and all of it's more important than 40K.
Mm-hmm.
It is a little bit funny for me to sit here and think we literally say that we're a competitive 40K podcast, and we do talk about competitive 40K, but we don't play very much of it anymore.
I mean, I call a fair amount of it.
Sure, and I've been playing a lot the last few weeks as I try to figure out Craft World Eldar.
I can tell you, I'm playing a lot of competitive 40K. I'm just not doing it well.
There you go.
Well, I think it's also like where we are is where a lot of people are post-pandemic, like lockdown, and then we're all experiencing this meta together, and choosing. I think like the thing that Chuck and I are really have in common is we're choosing. Hey, I know what my fun is. And it doesn't have to be just winning. So I'm going to focus on the other parts of that fun that aren't just winning. And I'll win when I can. And that's fine. And then that's going to be a much better time than focusing on the more competitive side of it. Because there's no way to meet that commitment compared to the other people who are gunning for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can't keep up with these kids.
Nah.
Well, I stopped playing Call of Duty a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not. Once my kill to death ratio got to like 4 to 23, like this is not.
Oh, you went way longer now.
Well, at some point, like the problem that I ran into is that the game would come out and I wouldn't have the time to play immediately, and so I wouldn't know the maps. Like everybody would jump on and they'd play obsessively for the first 5 days, and now everybody knows every inch of every map. And I come into play and I'm like, I'm going to play this game with these children's, and no, it's terrible. So I guess I should go now, huh?
Yeah. What's 40K to you?
Well, I am very complicated in this regard because I am struggling wicked bad with my hyperfixation and my ADHD to the degree where I make massive to-do lists, and what gets accomplished on them might as well be die rolls. It's not organized. It's very stressful. Luckily for all of you guys, Best in Tabletop stuff seems to be doing well in the die rolls, like really good RNG. For the Best in Tabletop stuff, I am the most addicted to the computer game Lost Ark that I've been to a computer game in an incredibly long time. If you'd like to play Lost Ark with the Biff Pod people, we're on Shandy. Feel free to reach out. We'll bring you into the guild with some of the rest of us. Anyways, so I have a lot of interests, and they're bouncing around really wicked fast for me, and I'm struggling really hard with that. At the same time, I just took a break from 40K while both Chuck and Mitch were playing. So I do not want to break. I'm also much more... The thing that is the most... Okay, so in Chuck's Chasing the Narrative this week, he says that all he really cares about is making things. And not that it's not about any one specific kind of making of a thing. It's just about making things.
Mm-hmm. And receiving the appreciation for others for having done it.
Yeah, appreciation is good. I like
very important cycle.
I want that dopamine hit.
Mm-hmm.
So
you guys get dopamine?
I mean, I buy it from a dude at the gas station, but it seems legit. So I've been trying to think a lot about where I'm at because I also like making things. I like inventing things. I like coming up with things. I like producing things. I like having ideas that are interesting. Like I like sharing my worldview with everybody. Like this is all more important to me than playing 40K. And there's a part of me that is deeply, deeply excited to start going to tournaments again. because I get to see my friends. And there's a bunch of people at these tournaments that I know pretty well that I haven't gotten to spend time with because my family was so locked down. So it's really a weird collection of feelings for me as I think about, I'm going to do this. I probably don't get to do the Seattle GT, the Seattle Open. It's on Mother's Day weekend. I have a mom and a wife who's a mom. I don't think it's a good idea for me to go to that tournament. I'm actually frustrated that the first GW tournament in this area is on Mother's Day weekend. That's insane, but whatever. They probably the only time they can do it. So, okay, good for them. But I have to miss that probably, which is bizarre. And then I'm going to go to the Storm, and then I'm not playing in Charity Hammer because everyone's finally convinced me that I shouldn't play in Charity Hammer. Like my game against Jaime
only took 3 interventions, guys.
It took a lot of years. But if you guys want to see why, watch my final 8 game from Charity Hammer against Jaime and how completely blitzed I am, tired I am, and how I'm not even remotely a good opponent for him. We have a great time and we're nice to each other, but I'm not putting up a fight. He's just beating on me. And then I went off to do the rest of my job. Anyways, so, and then I have Charity Hammer, and then I have ATC, which I care deeply about. So I'm trying to, so everything is telling me, well, why don't you just start enjoying 40K more? Why don't you take the armies you're excited about, and why don't you just go play and have a good time and focus on building best in tabletop, because that's the thing you're excited about. And the most important thing I can do at tournaments is stuff that advances best in tabletop. Filming footage of all of us there, doing content around the tournament, doing content after the tournament, interviewing other players. Like there's lots I can be doing there that is better for the network. So that all sounds very straightforward, right? It's all very straightforward. I'm just going to get more casual. I'm going to focus on best of tabletop. It's going to be fine. All of my favorite armies are broken right now. Like wicked bad. The Craft Old Eldar Codex is crazy. And I'm going to talk about that just a little bit here in a second. Harlequins are crazy. I'm not actually as big of a Harlequin fan, but they're elves, so they get honorary love for me. I own all of the elves. I have all of the armies. I have the Harlequin army that's beating everybody. I have that. I could take that to the tournament this weekend. I'm not going to. But
I briefly considered taking it from you.
Yeah.
Like, whatever, sure.
Craft Old Eldar is real good. And the Tyranid Codex that has now been linked is crazy as well. And I love me some Tyranids. We just got a Genestealer Codex. The Genestealer Codex that's cool. The Drukhari Codex last year was cool. Like, all the stuff that I play has books that are awesome. And say what you will about Craft Old Eldar, their book is so neat. It is so deep and it's so interesting. So I have this problem where every piece of my competitiveness, which is a big part of how I'm wired, is saying, no, go win some tournaments. Go play your best. Go show people what you're made of. Go show the best that you can be. And I got to be honest, guys, with how hard the last 6 months have been for me, I'm legitimately unsure what the hell is going to happen. I think that there's a lot of possible futures for this Saturday. I might play badly. I might get blitz tired and not be able to play well. Like there's all types of stuff that could happen because of how hard the last few months have been for me. So I don't know what to do. But here's what I am going to do. Here's the thing I for sure am doing because I've already done it. My buddy Hank and I have put in the work to build a Craft Old Eldar list that takes care of Harlequins. And I'm taking that to the tournament, and I'm going to beat some Harlequin players. So that for sure is a mission objective. But aside from that, I'm going to go to a bunch of exciting tournaments this year. I really want to do well at ATC. That's like really important to me. But other than that, I just don't know. So I have to kind of figure this out. So I'm really at a weird place where I want to just care about best in tabletop because it's the most exciting thing I have in my life right now, other than my family. But I'm still a 12-year-old kid who thinks that if I don't win, people won't like me and listen to me. And I'm still also a 12-year-old kid who, when I'm smarter than my opponent, and my opponent tells me that, feels like $1 million flipping dollars for the next 10 hours. So I'm not smarter than my opponent, but acted smarter. Like when I outplay someone and they tell me that I outplayed them, it's like the biggest high for me because I put the work in and I took the brain time and I did the research and I did the prep and I went and I did a plan that I had put together and it was good. And there's a lot of quality for that for me. So complicated topic. I don't have answers, unlike Chuck, who's like, no, this is the answer. I'm not like that, but that's kind of where I'm at. It's going to be great. I know that.
I think you described what I see in you all the time, and it's just sort of amped up because of the scenario you're in.
Yeah.
You constantly have to balance this like very competitive nature with a desire to also be at the tournament, right? You want to win, but you also want to participate. And right now you're in a place where you don't know if you can, you're not walking into that tournament thinking this is my tournament.
Right.
And so you're uncomfortable with that, but you still want to be there because you want to participate. You want to see people, you want to be a part of it. And I think it's pretty constant for you. Do you feel like that, or?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think that one thing that we've noticed is that I like armies that are done quickly.
Mhm.
Right? Like, I love when the game's over in an hour, because if that opponent's cool, I'll hang with them. If they want to go do something else, I'll wander around and watch everybody else play 40K and chat with them. I always chat with the tournament organizer because that's just a good idea.
Mhm.
So yeah, I chat with everybody and I really enjoy that. So yeah, I think so. It's hard though, because I don't really know where competitiveness belongs, right? Like in my software sales life, competitiveness is really important. It's a really, and I don't actually think you compete sales reps with each other to get the best performance, but like the life of a salesperson is competitive. And that's fine for me. I like it. I thrive on it. I'm good at it. It's great. But nothing else in my life has ever been as big of a deal for competition as 40K is. I'm like, I've never been very good and good enough at other things to like sports and bowling and golf and all the different things I've tried. Paintball, which if you're the size Chuck and I are, is just a terrible hobby. Hey, I'm slow and easy to hit. It's really a combo I have going on here.
I got points over here. Anybody want some points?
Yeah, and I have all these chronic pain issues. So at any point, I might need to sit down and have a little respite. And I'll hold a flag above my head, I guess. I don't really know how that works. Anyways, yeah. So I think that it's hard for me to identify where the healthy for the competitive is, because it does push me to do well, right? And where the unhealthy of the competitive is, like Taylor earlier today, Taylor Pearson, who's on Grim After Dark all the time, he said that he doesn't care because he just wants to go play 5 games with his friends. And I said, I think that's actually a much better way to approach 40K than I am.
It's a happier way for sure, right? Like you don't.
Yeah, because there are people that do that are just happy at every tournament,
Mm-hmm.
and that's great. But I got to be honest, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
Well, so I think part of what you're struggling with there, Colin, is like the whole like play, right? Like just the idea of play, of having fun as an adult, what
game.
that looks like, right? And there's a lot of interesting discussion about how much competition actually can't, whether or not it hinders or helps play, and it helps you get more out of it, and there's a lot of different thoughts on that, and my personal belief is it just depends on the person.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that there's a lot about a game of 40K that you have skills to be able to succeed at that don't necessarily involve the game state.
Mm-hmm.
That involve improving the experience with your opponent.
Mm-hmm.
And I think how you frame that and how you approach it is gonna be a big part of what you're gonna end up taking away from that, and what you end up putting into it in the first place. So I think that maybe for you, since you have more, a very objective, like driven brain, like making it like, okay, my objective this time, winning, is this. Just change what the win condition is, because then you at least have something you can focus on, as opposed to, well, I'm not doing well with my Harlequins, or I should have done better.
I'm definitely not taking Harlequins, but I'm with you.
Well, but yeah,
I'm actually annoyed that I agreed to play them for the Battle for the Generations. That's how I feel about Harlequins. So in fact, I'll talk about that. That's a great, those two topics, that and Craft World Alda, are a great quick topic for us to end the show with in a minute here. I think you're right, Mitch. And I think that it's not about the win condition, because it's not about the tactical win condition at the game level, because I'm never going to be able to get past the fact that I want to beat the person across from me. And I think that's okay. But there needs to be a greater meta goal that isn't win the tournament or you failed, because that's not realistic, right? Like That's like all the kids that play college football who think they're going to play for the NFL. Right? It's like 1% of them is going to play in the NFL. Like only one person can win these tournaments. Everybody but that one person losing is not a healthy way for any of us to look at this. So I'm trying to figure out what that looks like for me. And for this weekend, if I go 4-1 at my return to tournament play and all of my games are fun, that's the perfect scenario, right? In fact, I would rather go, and I'm going to say this, it's probably not true, but I'm going to say it out loud because I want it to be true. And Chuck's going to remind me that I said it this weekend, and that's going to be helpful.
He's going to be very receptive, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm very good at this. When I'm upset, I really want to hear people tell me I'm wrong. It's one of the things.
Especially when it's yourself from the past.
Oh, yeah. Past me's a douche. Good Lord. He's all of the things, like my weight, everything is wrong is that guy's fault. Future me, though, screw that guy. So I've made that joke so many times, I'm never going to stop. I actually think that if I have the option right now and you tell me, okay, Colin, you can go 4-1, but you're going to have 5 great games and have fun in all 5 games. Or you're going to go 5-0 and 4 of your games are going to be really fun and one of them is not going to be. I think I'd rather go 4-1 right now. And that is not the way I would have answered that in 2018 or 2019. I would have said, so one of the games is not going to be fun. Who cares? Am I going to beat the person? Am I going to demonstrate that I'm better at Tiny Army Soldiers than them? Because that is really the important topic here. Are they going to leave shamed by their insufficient knowledge of Tiny Soldiers? Like there was a part of me that was pushing that the whole time I was winning with Yunari and we were trying to figure out how Colin wins without being a cocky a-hole. That whole journey that we were on as a podcast together, that whole time, there's a part of me at every moment saying all that matters is that I won. Mm-hmm. Oh, that is literally the only thing that matters. And I talked to a therapist about that. Like, that is simply not the way I want to live my life. Simply not. So yeah, I think this is it's really, really interesting. One thing I've thought about that is there's a level of competition where your swagger is entertaining in and of itself. So I just wanted to share the thought because I had it this morning in the shower and I think it's hilarious. There's a point at which your swagger about competitiveness is a draw for attention on and of itself. And I call that Bobby Flay. For those that don't watch cooking shows, Bobby Flay is a good chef that's been around for a long time. He has a TV show where people compete to earn the right to compete against him. Then when they compete against him, they pick their specialty dish that they've been making their entire life, and he has to make that dish as well, and then professional food judges rate blindly which of those is better. Now, this is a reality show, so it could be completely fake. But the idea that this chef is like, let's do a show where people come in with the thing that they've been making as their favorite thing for 30 years, I'll make it better and beat them. The hubris of that is amazing to me. And it makes me want John Lennon to have a show. Like, or Sigler. That's like, you come in, you tell me what faction you want to play, give me a few hours. Maybe we should do this at Charity Hammer. Maybe we should do Beat John Lennon at Charity Hammer. It's so, there's this point at which you're good enough at the thing that you're doing that you can make ridiculous claims and back them up. And I think that there's a lot of enthusiasm. Now, I'm not good enough to do that, but there are people that are. And I think that there's a certain amount of entertainment to that. And maybe there's a place for some of that in competitiveness in 40K. Just a funny thought I had this morning. Also, I love talking about how crazy the concept of the show Beat Bobby Flay is. Yeah, it's completely insane. Okay, so that's us and where we're going. Tournament-wise,
I have one more question for you.
Yeah, let's do it.
What are your Warhammer 40K goals for the year?
It's a good question.
Not content creation.
Ooh, hard. Don't know. Ask again later. I haven't put any thought into that.
That's a total trap question because it leads me to my next point. That's the thing that's going to help you get to a place where you can go and lose the game and not worry about it.
Is because that's not the goal.
Yeah. Because both of you were talking about it. I didn't really want to interrupt because I think you were saying some good things, but you're both talking about setting win conditions for how to have fun at the tournament. And I actually think, personally, I think that's the wrong direction. I think you need to get the win conditions out of there. Remind yourself that you're out to have fun. You're out to hang with some people. You're here to have a social occasion.
Mhm.
where you get to play some Warhammer. These are some
Which I
practice
desperately
games.
need. We know that.
Not a big deal, right?
Yeah.
And I think that somewhere in there is how you do it.
Yeah.
We're obviously very different people, so I don't know where the ground is for you,
Yeah.
but like I think aiming for that is probably worthwhile.
Yeah, I think you're right. An important note is that one of the reasons I'm going to this tournament after significant logistics planning with my wife to make it happen is because my wife and I both acknowledge that I, as a human being, have to leave the house and have to interact with human beings that are not my kids. That's like people come here to play 40K with me, which, by the way, I am honored by because of my life means I can't leave the house very often. Long story, but I can't. I'm basically under house arrest unless a lot of planning goes into effect. So people come here to play me, which is amazing because otherwise I wouldn't play 40K. So it's a big deal that I can even go to this tournament this weekend. And I really want to have fun. And the best part about going this weekend is that I love the army I'm taking, which hasn't happened to me in a long time. I thought Ultramarines were fun. I enjoyed them. I thought Drukhari was really fun. I enjoyed it. But neither of those was double Spear Ynnari. Neither of those was double Kraken Stealer. This Craft World Eldar book is so fun. And I'm playing with the models that I won tournaments with a million years ago that my wife and I hobbied together, right? Like almost 85% of my list for this Saturday is done. Like more than that, actually. 90% of my list is done. It's just stuff I already have for Craft World Eldar that I have, connection to and relationship with. It's all kit bash and it all looks cool. I'm going to bring my display board. Like I'm going to do the hobby part that I didn't do all last year because I was only taking things that are good because there wasn't time for hobby last year. So I think that'll be really
definitely
fun.
year of the I airbrush the colors on it. I'm good to go.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah. Like I need to take Marines to this tournament. What if I borrowed Marines from 3 different people? That seems fine. The Ultramarines list that I won that GT with 3 different paint schemes of Marines.
Yeah.
And I felt like such a Chad. I felt so ridiculous. I felt like it's the young people term, right? I felt so like after I won the tournament, I was like, yeah, okay. I definitely borrow hammered the most broken thing I could to win this tournament. And people still cared more about that than when I won with Drukhari, just so we're clear. The Drukhari wins got less attention for the network than when I won with Broken Ultramarines, and I think that's hilarious.
There's a long period of time there where no one cared when Drukhari won.
Yep.
Yeah, I wanted
the
GT with
expected
Drukhari.
result.
I wanted a GT with Drukhari, and the people in our own Discord didn't want to talk about it. That's like, okay, guys, I appreciate you. So let's wrap up with the meta, a little bit on the meta, not a lot because Fight Club handles it amazing. The meta is: are you Harlequins, Craft World Eldar, or Tau? That's the meta.
Mm-hmm.
If you're one of those 3 armies, you have been gifted, blessed really, with a rule set that is superior to all other books by a fairly wide margin. I'm sorry. Craft World Eldar is actually a little bit hard to play. So there's something there. There's some Tau lists that are a little bit hard to play. So that sounds interesting. Harlequins are really brute forcing people off the table, but their book is cool. It's just that nothing in their book matters because they have a thing that shoots that's so undercosted that it just gets spammed.
They have the ability to be a finesse army. They don't need to.
But it's interesting. So that's a great segue. I've played 7 games of Mono Harlequins, and I've played against 3 games of Mono Harlequins. So 10 games altogether of Mono Harlequins, and then I've played some Soup as well. And I don't like them. I don't like their rules. I think they're bad. I think GW did a bad job. I acknowledge that they're too powerful. Totally get that. But let's talk objectively about those 8 data sheets for a second. Their stratagems are amazing. They have almost every good stratagem you could want, but their stratagems are almost all about their infantry doing work. Their infantry is not good. It's 23 points if you want a fusion pistol and a close combat weapon, 18 otherwise. And they just aren't good enough and durable enough to be worth 18 points apiece. It's just too much in the current game when everyone's gearing to kill T3. Like, it's just not, it's like, they're good. They do missions. They're important, but they're not good enough to prop up a book. And then the bikes are 50 points a model. which honestly, if you compare that against most of the good books, I'm not even just talking S tier, but like, how about this? How much is a Custode bike?
85.
85. Okay. So the difference in output, durability, and speed is all significant. Like the Harlequin bike is faster, and that's cool. But I guess that was a bad example because it's so much more. I thought they were 70, but still.
No, like a foot Custode is 50 points.
Okay. 50 points is a lot for a T4 bike with 3 wounds that doesn't actually do that much damage. That's the point I'm trying to make. They're very fast, but when you actually go to do the thing with them, they often don't do the thing, which that army can't afford because you probably paid 250 points for those 5 bikes.
Yeah.
And that's a lot. So the bikes are easily the worst data sheet. The transport's really good. And the Troop Master's good. He's not, I don't think he's amazing just because we've had explained to us what Drukhari plus combat characters do and what they cost. So now that we have that in our brain for elves, I don't understand how 110 point Troop Master is as good. I mean, he's great. He's great, but he's not broken, right? And the Death Jester's broken, but he's also broken adorably. Like, he's not going to ruin the game. He's just like walking around at 60 points, 70 points, being a massive jerk. And he's super broken, but he's not going to ruin the game.
I mean, he ruins the game for any army that has T3 characters.
Yeah, but if you're running T3 people on foot, you don't get to play. GW decided that. They gave such efficient and direct to everybody, and we don't need that anymore. I'm being a little bit unnecessarily sassy there. This is all going to get fixed. But for right now, it's a bad day to be a T3 model on foot, is what I would say.
Well, you know what I'm going to do? Bring a whole list based on being a T3 model on foot.
Me too.
You guys do it because you're hardcore. So we've talked about every data sheet but the most important one, which is the Void Weaver. Its shooting is offensive. Its durability is offensive, mostly because of luck dice. Luck dice are crazy. Because of them, you basically get 5 shots on your Void Weavers where you get a 2.5 up invul. That's basically the situation. So, and you get to pick which hits those are, and you get to fail at first. Like, it's a whole thing. So the durability and the firepower of these boats is so good that every question is, okay, do I take 2 bikes for 100 points or a Void Weaver for 90? Like, that's the sort of math you're doing. Do I take 2 bikes for 50 or do I take a transport that can have dudes inside of it? Right? Like, so I played a bunch of this army, and I will tell you that that I believe that it is simply Codex Void Weaver. I'm sure that that's not some hot take that you aren't expecting to hear. But I'm also
I think army-wide transhuman has to go.
They don't even have army-wide transhuman. They don't even have transhuman.
No, I mean the hitting. Sorry, I think of it as army-wide hitting for
I've mostly played against them with Tyranids and Crafter Lullar, so I admit that I feel differently about this. But -1 to hit, and you can only hit on 4s are the same damn thing most of the time. They are for me. All the armies I play, they are.
I think it would be great if all the -1 to hits turned into you can only hit on 4s, because -1 to hit against orcs is 50% of your shooting. -1 to hit versus anybody else is like 16% or 25%, right? It's significantly different.
What I'm saying is that they don't stack against Crafter Lullar.
Yeah,
and against anybody else with Ballistic Skill 3. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. It just says, haha, Custodes, you lose.
The luck dice is a much bigger issue. The luck dice are awful. So you have to hit them, and then you have to wound T5, and then they get to decide, is this enough damage that you're actually going to kill a Void Weaver? Because if it's not, I might just take some of it. I probably have a 6-up Feel No Pain as well, to be perfectly honest. That might bail me out of some of this. And then after all of that, I can just decide to reroll it with a luck die, and I can reroll as many luck dice as I want per phase. So I'll just reroll all of these armor saves and keep all my boats alive. It's not okay, and it's not fun, and it's not interesting, and it's not strategic. It's just brute forcing people off the table, and it's dumb. And I want that book to be good because the stratagems are great. And the psychic powers are cool, and the warlord traits are cool. Like, I move 6 more on the charge. That's dope. But, like, all of their infantry is strength 4 with no rerolls. That means that in my opinion, that means that if that army does not have Void Weavers, it cannot kill things and goes out of popularity. That's my read of that situation. Because, by the way, there are entire armies of T5 right now. Have you seen orcs? Like, so I don't like them at all. So when I was deciding what to take this weekend, and I wish they were good. I wish. I mean, they're amazing, but I wish that they were also well written. Is I guess what I'm saying.
Yeah. I think if you're going to have such a shallow model line, that's going to happen.
Yeah,
the Grey Knights had the same problem.
Well, and Imperial Knights and like any small codex.
You don't have the flexibility to keep up with the meta. It's a frustrating situation.
This is where I think that they were headed the right direction, and then they at the last minute chickened out. Like, I think that if they had left the traveling troop rules in and not given luck of the laughing dice, luck of the laughing god's face, if they had not done luck dice as this is what you get when you play Mono Quins, and the Void Weaver had been significantly more expensive, I think that Harlequins would become a thing where you take a detachment with Drukhari and with Craft Old Eldar. And since they only have 8 data sheets, I think that's cool. I think some troops and some boats as a utility piece in a Craft Old Eldar army is cool. Because you don't need them. Like, they can go do all the things that they're good at, and you aren't requiring them to do things like go kill that T8 thing over there. Like, because the Craft Old Eldar can help them with the things that they're not good at. That's where I'm at on it. I think that it should be, and I have this problem with a lot of books. I think Custodes is the same way. Custodes are always either broken or terrible. It's just the way it feels.
They at least have different ranges that they can engage at, which is nice. But yeah, they have a similar problem. Like, I have missiles and bolt guns. Hopefully, this is a solution. If they're not, I don't know.
I have one of these that's priced appropriately right now. Yeah,
lots of damage to combat.
So, as I was thinking about what I wanted to take to Tau Tipping, I thought, hey, let's take Harlequins and Craft Old Eldar together, because that is probably the most broken BS I can come up with. And so I made a list, and I'm going to swear now, I apologize. The list is called Fuck You. And it is 9 Void Weavers and then all of my favorite Craft Old Eldar things. That is the list. It has 1 unit of troops in a boat. It has no troop master, just the Shadow Seer, just bringing the Void Weavers. I played some games with that. Man, is that not for me. Again, the Void Weavers are just the thing that brute forces your opponent off the table, which it can be fun, but it's much more fun if there's some nuance with that. So Hank Adams, who's been on the show some, and he's been in some of our bat refs. He is a brilliant man he and I are bouncing Eldar ideas off each other, usually at 2:00 in the morning when we both should be asleep. We're in our beds, quickly list building Eldar. And I got to be honest, guys, here's my take. Eldar is the strongest rule set in the game. I know that they don't have the best win percentage. I know that Harlequins are currently beating them. I'm not saying that in any average player's hands, CWE is better than Harlequins. I'm saying that forgetting the player, the power of the Craft Old Eldar rules and the power of the Harlequin rules are not equal. I believe that Craft Old Eldar is better and even bigger problem for the meta than what's on the horizon. So we've got some Colin Stradamus things going on here. I think that Harlequins are going to get nerfed and Craft Old Eldar are going to be like, that's great. Hi, guys. We're here. Also, I believe that Craft Old Eldar beats Harlequins pretty easily if you just lean into it in list design. And we will find out if my hubris is justified in 4 days. Because all of the testing that Hank and I have done makes us think that Harlequins are just handled by the Craft Old Eldar that we're playing. I'm not going to go through the list right now. You're going to hear all about it on the next episode. But we're relatively confident. Are we right? I don't know, but we're relatively confident. I just think it's a better rule set that's just harder to play than Harlequins. It's a more powerful rule set.
Well, it's a much deeper rule set, so there's going to be a lot more to solve there.
Right, we haven't found it all. Hank and I are playing with models that no one else is playing with. Like, that stuff we just haven't seen in other lists very much. Like, we're legitimately just like trying stuff and being like, oh, that works. There's so many of the data sheets are good, not great for Craft Old Eldar. And then there's also some great ones in there. And then it all just kind of mixes together in this deep, interesting puzzle that I just love. I've always liked making Craft Old Eldar lists the most, but this is the most fun I've had making Craft Old Eldar lists by a lot. So I'm super excited about them. I hope they get nerfed as well. If we're going to nerf people, let's nerf all the S tier. I don't know what you do to Craft World Eldar to nerf them. Don't care. Not my job to come up with that. Feel free to nerf them. I just want people to hear, if you think Harlequins are unbeatable, they are not unbeatable. They're just too good. You can take Craft World Eldar. If you want to go, if you don't want to play the list I'm playing, you still want to have a good game into them, play any of the Shuriken spam lists I've done battle reports with. All of them are good into Harlequins. All of them. You bring, how many shots was it into you, Chuck? What I did, I have 280 Shuriken shots that game.
Yeah.
You bring like 280 Shuriken shots, the Harlequins just evaporate. Hitting on 4s is fine. Also, 1,000,000 2 damage strength 6 hits from Shuriken cannons is death to Harlequins. Because it puts them on their invul. The hits aren't big enough for them to maximize their luck rerolls, right? Anyways, I can go on and on about this because it's been the main thing I've thought about for the past few days. So I'll leave it at that. But I just wanted you guys to hear from one of the biggest Craft World Eldar nerds I think there is, because I flippin' love that army and spend so much time on it. I believe they're more powerful than anything else in the game right now, and we're going to find out if I'm right. The thing I don't know is I don't have a lot of experience into Tau so far. So I might get wrecked by Tau from inexperience or because it's better than me. I don't know at the tournament, but I have no concern about Harlequins at this exact moment. For me, with my specific list at the tournament I'm going to, where I know what the terrain is like and I've prepared for it. There you go.
Now you're not going to play Harlequins at all.
Which is also fine.
That's my experience. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to be able to beat this one army. I go to the tournament and just like, never play them. I'm like, oh, okay.
I do want to give our friend Ben, who's on the Frontiers podcast, I do want to give him a shout out because he says the meta is awful at the moment. I'm going to go into 34% GT this weekend. I'm just going to run 29 aberrants. And I think that if that's his life, if that's his best life, he should live his best life.
Let's be clear. There's a world that I bring 30 Wolfen to the Games Workshop event.
Yes,
Run out
30
of
Wolfen, 45 Fenrisian wolves, 15 Cyber wolves. I've done the math.
I listened to some stuff today. This is completely tangential to what Mitch is saying, but welcome to BiffPod. I listened to some stuff today, Mitch, where John Lennon and Jack Harpster from Art of War were trashing on just how bad the box knot is. And I had not heard it called the box knot, and that made me really happy. The old school dreadnought that moves 6.
Yep.
And for reasons that no one can explain is 135 points.
Yeah.
So I was listening to them call it the box knot today, and I just love it. Anywho, by the way, Ben, it occurs to me that when you talk about your hot takes on Frontiers, you should say, here's what Ben's cooking up, because he's a professional chef. He owns restaurants. There's lots of puns there. Okay, I'm done taking us off task. No, I'm not.
bold claim.
Yeah.
I'm not done at all. Okay, so that's our show, I think. You guys have anything else you want to talk about or tell people about before we go?
No, I'm just excited for this weekend.
I was on Art of War Down Under with Adam Camilleri covering the state of all the non-Space Marine, except for Grey Knights, Imperial factions in the current meta, and kind of like different ways you can look at playing them and some different off-the-wall army lists for each faction. So we went through that, and then afterwards in the bonus episode had an argument about whether 7th or 9th is 9th's most broken point is worse. So that was all good fun.
Hey guys, not you guys, the people watching. It's going to be okay.
Maybe it might be the end.
Oh, it's fine.
It's going to be fine.
I propose the theory that all editions go down this path as they get older. Like it just
I don't understand
always
how this edition is
progressively
old.
decays.
It came out like a month ago. I don't understand. Let me say this because I really believe this. Okay. Right now, games amongst the S tier are really fun. I've played a bunch of it. I've played a little bit of Tau, not the correct Tau, but I've played a little bit into Tau. I've played a bunch of Eldar. I've played a bunch of Harlequins, and I've also played stuff into new Nids and new Nids into stuff. They're also gross in S tier. So it's fun. Like that's a great game that doesn't feel horribly imbalanced to me. And I've played the lower, like the rest of the world into each other recently, and that feels fine too. It's not that we have a problem that the entire game is broken and unfun. The problem we have is we have a few books whose rules are just too good, and it will get fixed. They've said that there's a data slate coming earlier than they expected. We're supposed to have it next week. I would suspect that Harlequins are on that because Harlequins statistics are. I shouldn't speak for the Fight Club guys because they get mad at me if I get the numbers wrong. But I think the Harlequin statistics are actually the most egregious.
I
think that they're actually. I think
bonkers.
I think they're worse
That's
than
the
Drukhari
mathematical
was.
scale.
Than
Bonkers.
I think they're worse than Local Fire Drukhari was. I think so, which is hard to imagine. So it is bad. It's bad, but also 40K is still fun. And also, if you lose your early games at a tournament, you're not going to play all those people.
I've been having a great time.
Yeah, because they're just going to continue on, and you're going to be like, I've got one or two losses, so I guess I don't have to play those guys anymore.
So yes and no, because whenever the two S tier factions get paired against each other, someone has to lose. So after the first round or two, like that pool gets populated. You have to watch out, but they're very rare.
That's true.
You're doing great.
It's going to be okay. Is the point that I'm trying to say. The game always has moments like this, and it always comes back around. Because the reality is that if GW leaves it going like this too long, we'll stop playing, and they don't want that. And I understand that we're not as big as the narrative community, but don't think that a company like GW doesn't know how much money our community is spending, the competitive community, and they don't want us to all go away. They don't want the game to be ruined. If you want to talk about crazy takes, I'm the guy that's saying bring everybody up to the new S tier level. That's where I'm at. I think it's going to be really hard to nerf all those armies, so bring everybody else up. Just take the guard codex and just make everything 2/3 as expensive as it is. Let them have like 300 models. Fine with it.
Oh. No, I say we need to go back to 6x4 tables. So I'm going to be on the exact opposite end of the spectrum from Colin here.
I just do not care at all. I just don't. It just does not matter to me. But we can go back to 6x4 tables if it makes Mitch happy, as long as I get everybody up to be
thrilled.
The other thing is like all of the pretend ridiculous data sheet leaks that are out that are all completely fake. The one that says that Chaos should just get everybody gets +1 wound and all your stratagems are 1 CP until we tell you otherwise. How is that not a good idea?
Most of our stratagems are 1 CP as it is.
Yeah. But how is that not a good idea?
Well, it's not enough points.
What does it actually change to the game if you just give the flipping Chaos Marines all their wounds that you promised them 700 years ago?
So little.
It just doesn't. Like, also, everybody's taking 2 damage guns. Let's be clear. Like, the Shuriken Cannon is an offensively good weapon. And it's now being taken by 2 of the S tier armies, and sometimes they work together. So I'm just saying that, like, it's bad.
Can we also clarify real quick? The Harlequin exception for the patrol, the very first sentence of the rule says that if you have a battle forged army, so your army has to be battle forged first, including the Harlequins detachment. Then you pick the Harlequins detachment to not interrupt the faction loyalty. So you cannot pair it with orcs. You cannot pair it with the Imperium, which, let's be clear, if we could, I would. We know this.
Oh, I'd make some Chaos Harlequins for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
The amount that Void Weavers are better than every shooting platform in the Imperium right now, Mitch would have 9 of them. Like, they're just... Mitch loves efficient shooting. He loves it.
I do. That's what Dread Knights are.
Man, it's so... Yeah. I've been asked that question twice a week for the past 3 weeks.
Yeah, I just wanted to be clear. As a judge, it's not even a thing.
One of the guys, I literally said to him, "Why are you asking me this? Because if it's raw, I'm going to do it." No, you're not. Like, if it is raw, it's going to be fixed immediately. Nobody in the world should think that is what they intended.
What event are you planning on using this at? Why don't you ask them?
Yeah, because I will personally email your TO.
They're clearly like a traveling bard in a D&D campaign, and they're just joining a party, and like it's all fine, right? Like, orcs makes perfect sense.
I mean, I'm into
now.
it.
If everybody could take orcs as an ally, I'm in for that. I just want a little detachment of orcs riding around in buggies in every one of my lists, little trucks. I just want that in every army I play. I want like mega knobs to jump out of trucks and punch people in my
one squad of truck boys.
Yes,
fair.
Yeah,
they're just there for the scrap.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that was a lot of fun, guys. I'm glad we did that. I didn't want to do it. I don't like doing the show. No, I'm kidding. I didn't want.
Save it for
Oof.
after we're done recording, Colin. Again,
Yeah,
we've
that's
had
right.
meetings about this.
After we're done recording, I'm going to drink competitively until I fall unconscious. That's my plan for the. No, not at all. All right, guys. What fun. All right, so we don't record this weekend because we're at the tournament. So we'll come back to you the week after and we'll tell you all about the tournament. And I also like this idea of building, of helping Mitch with the crazy Imperium path. So we'll see what that looks like.
We should also have the balanced data slate to discuss as well, probably.
I think that we should get together a hybrid concoction of best in tabletop hosts for the day the data slate comes out. I will work on that.
Sure.
I will build the committee of awesome.
Like we're gonna Voltron it.
Yeah. Let's get all the best
As long as I get to be in the Black Voltron. That was the only one I got to own. So
is that a race thing or
no? The black cat. The cat was black.
okay?
Each pace has a different color.
You have to understand that just saying
They're
the
very
Black
important.
Voltron to an old man who doesn't remember Voltron is not helpful. Like, was there a character that was black? What is happening right now? Probably not. But
You should go back and just watch one episode. That's good enough. They're all the same.
I watched.
Yeah, that's true.
I watched the 1980s masterpiece Little Shop of Horrors last night, which is a movie that as a child I adored because I'm a musical theater kid. And man, is it awful. I was watching, I'm like, this is really, really bad. Why does Rick Moranis have a surprisingly nice singing voice? This is really, really bad. That's a talented dude. Anywho, we'll be back with you guys in a few weeks. Thank you all for listening. If you'd like to support us, we would really appreciate that. You can do it in two different ways. You can go to YouTube and click the join button, which gets you all the wonderful content that I talked about earlier. It is $10 a month, and it is there waiting for you. You also, if you'd rather, or in addition to, you can join our Discord through our Patreon group at patreon.com/BIFPOD. Once in that group, you will be able to click and add and join our Discord, which is the most amazing community in all of 40K. And I can say that because I am completely impartial in every way. They did yell at me a lot today, but they're still amazing.
I mean,
So
sometimes you get sassed back.
Yeah. They were having a really serious conversation that I wasn't aware of, and I came in and tried to be funny. Ooh, yeah, it was not. The tone at that exact moment wasn't ready for me. Anywho, so fantastic community. You guys can join it there. If you don't want to support us in either of those two ways, please like and subscribe everywhere that you can. It makes a huge difference. Subscriptions on the YouTube is one of the most important metrics for us to grow and do what we're trying to do. Very quickly, Charity Hammer is June 23rd to 26th. That's Thursday to Sunday.
Yeah.
We are close. We're close to having the triumphant edition of the Sean Naden, who's never been. That's certainly one of the big marquee names we've not had before.
Yeah.
Brad Chester is back. Nick Nanavati's back. John Lennon's back. Jaime can't come. That's sad.
Damn it.
Ennis thought he'd be able to come. He can't come. That's sad.
Oh,
But
I
Seth-
had not heard that yet.
Seth is coming. Danny's coming. We got the best in tabletop will be there, other than Ennis. Not the Australian, and us, not the guys that are across the ocean from us. All of the North American best in tabletop guys will be there.
Can they send a representative?
Well, Adam Camilleri will be here.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, Adam Camilleri is going to be here. We're doing so much. We'll
Yeah.
have an episode in another month or so, probably, where we'll bring Nick on, probably a few other people, and we'll talk you guys through the agenda. It's massive. We're doing even more content than we did last year. Don't tell anybody. They haven't noticed yet when they look at the agenda. So I've got the agenda planned. Charity Hammer's happening the weekend before Charity Hammer, which is June 18th and 19th. I think I got that right. I'm really bad at that
Right.
part of this game. The exact number that goes with the exact day is not a thing my brain's good at.
18th and 19th.
Thank you. June 18th and 19th will be the best in tabletop open. It will be a major size tournament with fantastic terrain, player-based terrain, run by Mitch and I think.
Probably. I mean, that seems likely.
Chuck's got to play in it. I don't think I'm going to play. I might play in it. If Mitch isn't running it, maybe it's more fun if I play. Maybe I let the fans decide what faction I bring or something silly. I don't know. Anyhow, that's going to be it's going to be the week before. So Come out to the Pacific Northwest. It's amazing in June. Usually, it might rain on your head. We don't know.
It'll
Play
be
in the
warm
Western
rain.
Table. It could be rainy. We don't know. But June is about where it pivots.
Watch out for the warm rain.
Yeah,
Don't want that.
No, I don't like the warm rain. That's not going to make the tournament fun at all. But we don't do that here. It's okay. So Best of Tabletop Open tickets will go on sale in the next week or two. I'm sorry they aren't up earlier. We had problems with getting a contract signed with a hotel that we liked, but we're close on that. That's the last thing that has to be decided. We're going to stream from there. We're going to create content there. The whole Best in Tabletop team is going to be there. It's going to be great. Charity Hammer, lots of people from Art of War, whole Best of Tabletop team, bunch of guys from Frontline, bunch of the best players in the world, just like normal, bunch of our friends from Canada. It's going to be epic. It'll be the best Charity Hammer yet, and we are going to raise $60,000.
Oh man.
Ooh, man.
We did 40,000 last year. Why can't we do 50% more? Why not? Are you telling me that the kids don't need 50% more? Is that what you guys are? Is that where you guys
Definitely
are going?
not.
Yeah.
No, the kids deserve more than 50% more because I know what you all are spending on Games Workshop models. That's really
Some of us are just budgeting for squad.
I can see your pile of shame. I can see it. You don't need to buy more models. You can give some money to
Are
the
you
kids.
like hobby Santa?
You cannot see my pile of shame in one particular viewing. You have to come at it from multiple angles.
Yeah.
And
It's more of a
different rooms.
panoramic.
I might have two different closets on two different parts of the property and a box somewhere that'll have some built things in it.
Yeah.
But I give that stuff away. So okay. Anyways, Charity Hammer coming soon. Thank you everybody for watching and for hanging out as I rambled incoherently for the past 20 minutes. I always appreciate that part of the show. We'll be back soon, guys. Thanks for your support on everything we're doing. We absolutely love it. Thank you so much, and bye.
See you later.
Bye.